Let's talk about another love story. Sleeping
Yeah,
Beauty.
this is Sleeping Beauty. Uh this film started in production in 1953, around the time Walt was really planning on Disneyland. And Walt decided at the centerpiece of the park, he would put Sleeping Beauty's castle in anticipation of the Sleeping Beauty movie, which was already in production and was teased at the in the first episode of Disneyland that aired in 1954. I kind of gave audiences a sneak peek as to
what on televisions, right?
Yes, on television. Yes,
I didn't realize it was supposed to be Sleeping Beauty's castle before it was Cinderella's castle.
Sleeping Beauty's castle is in Disneyland. Cinderella's castle is in Disney World.
Oh, I didn't realize it actually was her castle in Disneyland. Wow, I've been there and I guess I didn't even realize that. You live and you learn.
Yeah, so Walt thought that that on this feature, Sleeping Beauty, he can go bigger and better. I don't know. Lady and Tramp felt like it was like a little stepping stone or something like that. He was putting more attention into Sleeping Beauty. And I think it kind of shows after you've seen the movie, it shows that he put a lot of attention into Sleeping Beauty. As a matter of fact, he went bigger and better. He made this in Super Technirama 70. Let me just tell you what the heck's going on here. Let me put this in baby talk. Disney made this movie in IMAX, or at least made it for IMAX. But then back then IMAX didn't exist.
Right.
So he made this on a large format. And let me explain to you what went down with the Super Technirama process. It was one of those things utilized to combat the growing threat of television among the movie studios that made movies for theaters, and theaters were losing their audiences to television. So they decide, we're going to provide an experience that is not in your home. And Super Technirama 70 was one of those experiences, and Walt decided to use it for Sleeping Beauty. Well, if you're not familiar with what went down, it's a 35 millimeter process where instead of the film running through the camera vertically through the gate, it runs through the gate horizontally. And it exposes more of the image area on the film, giving you a sharper image and
interesting. Okay,
higher clarity
and a resolution.
Okay, cool.
So therefore, that's probably one of the reasons why why some scenes were probably thought out as being this high-end widescreen immersive large format experiences, and such as any scene that Maleficent is taking a part in, you can tell she has to take the whole frame. Most people, when I first saw this, especially when you first saw this on VHS, it had to do the full screen. This film has been modified from its original version. Its format has been fitted to fit your screen. And not only was he taking the fairy tale from Charles Perrault, who also did Cinderella, he was also taking
both like derived from like traditional fairy tales that the Grimm brothers were collecting,
something like that. But he also took music and some ideas from Tchaikovsky's Sleeping Beauty ballet. I mean, you could probably just say that the music.
Tchaikovsky is the Russian composer.
Composer.
Would have heard the same music with the fairy nature sequences in Fantasia.
Yes.
So he was kind of going big and immersive as much as possible for Sleeping Beauty.
Mhm.
And the usual suspects are here. Bill Thompson, this is like the fourth Disney film I've seen him do in the 50s. Verna Elton is back again as Flora, Mrs. Flora. And yeah, so and this is like her fourth or maybe fifth, or they often they're pretty loyal to their Disney voice actors. I know. Barbara Luddy, who plays Lady in Lady and the Tramp, she's back again as Mistress Merryweather in Sleeping Beauty.
Is it kind of because this maybe was this kind of the age of is it called like acting companies or like studios where you would
Yes,
as an actor you
well,
would like
I
hire
think at this
into a
point
studio?
they were establishing a lot of the familiar actors that wouldn't mind voicing again and again for like animation studios like Disney.
Yeah, so I wonder if that's why, because it's kind of similar to like if you were an actor.
This
If you-
this is mainly the contract system, whereas
Mhm.
studios, well, they had a system where they employed actors, and they and whenever another studio wanted to use one studio's actor in another studio's production, they traded or just brought them on loan from this
Right.
studio.
Gotcha.
It was
Okay, so it's a little bit different.
yeah, it was kind of like how the how sports works today. Like you trade this player for this other player.
Yeah.
Want to get the best out of your team.
Okay, interesting. So they had a lot of repeat players on this movie.
Yeah,
Yes,
I think
Audrey,
reusing it like a better word.
Yeah, Audrey Elby, I believe. Audrey Eleanor, Audrey. Oh, hang on. I believe I know the name is Audrey, but she not only she's the wicked stepmother, but she's also Maleficent here. Perfect casting here. Boom.
Yeah, I know, right? It's like the actress was good at being bad.
Oh yeah. So yes,
Debbie Kitty wants in.
So Walt made this movie for like 6 years. Took probably a long time. He and apparently this was the first movie in which one of our little friends, Don Bluth, ends up working on as an assistant animator. He remembers at the time that Disney was starting to lose focus in animation and such. Even if because all this other stuff was taking some business, he assumed the animation business was starting to take about 20% of Disney's time, and Disneyland was getting around like 80% or something, because that was like his.
Yeah, he was like, as an entrepreneur, was like, focused on elsewhere. I mean, I've heard like, the casting was like, the biggest involvement he had for that production.
Yeah. So once again, you shoot a lot of this in a lot of the live action just to get a certain degree of realism in the animation movements.
Yeah. I mean, even some of the voice actors were doing some live acting as well.
Uh-huh. And so only 5 of the 9 old men are animators, and by this time,
Directors or
well, the sequence directors, a few of the 9 old men have moved on to being sequence directors in this production. So their animation right here is on A game. And you can tell they put some attention to the effects animation because it is like ace, including the special processes from Iwerks, who was ironically probably almost with Walt from the very beginning.
Yeah, I mean, he actually returned to work with the Disney Productions back when they were doing Song of the South.
Yeah. So they so instead of Frank Churchill and stuff being the composer, suddenly they swap out the composer for something different. I mean, someone had to conduct Tchaikovsky's score, and so they swap it out with someone who would be with the studio for the next 2 decades or so.
Yeah, I've heard that only one of Sammy fans' original lyrics, "Once Upon a Dream," was incorporated into the final piece.
So yes, we have the usual suspects. A lot of the talent that you expect from a Disney production is here, and it's high intensity fairy tale action. But let me give you a couple of insights. In the original tale, Sleeping Beauty goes to sleep for like a century until the prince overcomes the challenge and then awakens her. But they were like, why the heck would you have this guy wait for 100 years just to get the?
So is he 100 years old when he wakes her up?
No, this is the original tale. Even though it was invoked in Maleficent's little cheering up speech in the movie itself.
It's haunting.
Yes. Just to provoke Prince Stefan. Prince Philip. Now.
Yeah, Stefan's the king, and Philip is the prince.
Now the princes have a name. Instead of Prince Charming, or Prince Charming is now Prince Philip. All of a sudden.
I mean, it's not the first time they were like, tweaking fairy tale to suit their storytelling. I mean, that's what an adaptation is. I mean,
yeah, I know. So
I mean, even in the original tales for Snow White, I mean, there was actually encountered from multiple schemes from the queen before the poison apple.
Three. One of them being the death by apple. So originally it was gonna be like a necklace, and then they thought they could do a comb, and then the third was like the apple.
Yeah, somebody knows their fairy tales. Going old school.
Yeah. Okay. At least I'm
like I was saying, I mean, Disney at the time when they were doing Snow White, thought that was like too episodic, or was supposed to be like a genuine movie drama. Yeah, that's why they cut to the chase, so to speak, to make that poison apple be the climax.
Yeah. So some of the ideas that were gonna be in Snow White, but didn't make it in Snow White, they decide, why don't let those ideas go to waste? Let's put them in Sleeping Beauty. So they do. The stuff where Maleficent is catching Prince Philip, and putting him in the dungeon. That was originally going to be in Snow White, where the evil queen catches the prince and puts him in the dungeon, but they scrapped that. Another thing that was originally going to be in Snow White. Sarah? Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I meant to say, I mean, this is like what happened in Snow White before, that actually focused, the main story arc about, the tale of pure envy there, and, the real conflict between the princess and the wicked queen.
Originally in Snow White, there was also going to be a lot more personality to the horse. And kind of like a funny little sidekick character. and then in this film they decide, hey, let's make the Prince Philip's horse his funny little sidekick character. Like has a kind of unique personality that does the little cartoonish human.
Yeah. I've heard that the animator was doing that. I always wanted to do like a cute little gags like those.
Yeah. And another scene that was scrapped for Snow White, but ended up here in this film. Originally in Snow White, there was going to be a sequence where Snow White tells about her wedding, and then it takes amidst the clouds, and there's a bunch of starlets that were gonna be dancing around while they both get happily married. They scrapped that in Snow White, but then here in Sleeping Beauty, there was like, oh, let's just get that last minute ditch idea and put it as the last shot that you see in the movie.
Is that enough examples?
Those are those are the examples I can think of off the top of my head.
Okay, then continue, please.
Oh, and so so despite Flora saying that she just loves happy endings, this film didn't get one at first. Sleeping Beauty, it took 6 years to make, and it cost $6 million at the time, which in 1959 was a lot of money. And it only returned like $5.3 or $5.4 million. And as a result, it was a fairy tale bomb. I don't know. It seemed to cause Disney to kind of lose interest in the medium, but he didn't quit. I don't really think he.
That's so interesting that it was kind of a flop, because it was kind of equal when we were a kid. At least when I was a kid, it was equal to the other Disney princess movies. Like there was no lesser than. They were all the same. I had all the dresses. I had her dress. It wasn't like it was any worse than the other one. So it's interesting. I guess everything is timing. It just wasn't the right time for it.
Yeah, I guess maybe it could be something along the lines of people thinking that Disney was now the benefactor of Disneyland.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, at one little supper in regards to meeting with some dignitaries, one person said to Walt Disney, "Hey, why don't you try running for president? You ought to be president of the United States." And Disney was like, "Hey, why the heck would I want to be president of the United States? I'm the king of Disneyland."
Aw, that's cute.
He knows his priorities in an economic state.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know. That's like the hardest job in the world, and he gained enough influence just to be considered, hey, why don't you run for president? So Disney was that iconic of an American figure by now.
Mm-hmm. Nuts.
And I don't know. He wasn't. People seem to think of him more as the guy who did Disneyland and the Mouseketeers and Disneyland shows and some of the funny little live action stuff. It kind of got into a state where he really branched out, and somehow animation kind of got put a little on the back burner, but he didn't quit. And as a result of this movie bombing, he kind of had to scale back on animation. Well, he didn't quit it. He just had to make it a little less immersive. So instead of being widescreen and a Super Technirama, he kind of had to go back to the spherical format, to non-anamorphic. He had to get.
I've heard that we're like cutting back on a lot of things. I mean, not just the people.
Yeah. yeah, but he still kept on these artists. He still needed the artists because they were envisioning some concepts to him that were going to be unique in Disneyland. And believe me, Disneyland was starting to catch steam, and the 50s was just about over, and we were entering into the 60s. Though how would Disney continue with their little escape into animation, even if all this other stuff was doing it, and how were they going to make it more economical? They had their answer in a process called Xerox, something newly invented at the time. So coming up, Disney makes next week. Disney makes their first animated feature using a Xerox process to save money, something like that.
Okay, yeah. So, Julia, what did you think about the movie?
I love this movie. I mean, the old Disney classics, to me, I always say it now, like on this whole series, like it reminds me of my childhood because these are the things I dressed up as. Like for Halloween, I was always one of the princesses. We went to Disneyland and Disney World several times, and you want to meet these princesses. So this to me is very nostalgic. The songs are very nostalgic. And now watching it back, it's kind of funny because I hadn't seen it in a long, long time. But more recently, I've seen like Maleficent and Maleficent 2 and things like that. And then I'm like, oh, I'm starting to realize kind of like how it all fit together a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, Maleficent is perhaps argued to be like the most intimidating, powerful villain in like Disney history.
Oh yeah, Ace in the Hole. Ace in the Hole is awesome. Even though the lore describes her as like a dark fairy, as a kid, I thought she was Satan's sister.
Yeah, that's also another possibility.
The horns on her head, talking about dealing with all the powers of hell, and I mean, if you grew up in like the South and you've gone to church a whole lot, and you are talked about, you're told stuff about Jesus and Satan and how you gotta avoid Satan to being the enemy and such, and you see cartoonish depictions of the devil on Looney Tunes and such with the little devil's pitchforks and horns on the head, you could pretty much guarantee you, as a kid, I would probably think, yeah, Maleficent would be the Satan's sister. But no, the lore is saying, yeah, she's a dark fairy. So that's kind of a disappointing thing for me to think that that
your theory was inaccurate.
Yeah, because I felt like if Prince Philip actually slaughtered Satan's sister, that would be a win for all of humanity and the universe. Except
I mean, it's still a possibility. I mean, I think some of the reasons these fairy tales keep going along, at least with some of the Christian bookstore books that I've been telling us, that there's just something about the fairy tales that they want to keep on doing because of the many argues like it's the kind of mythos of the humanity that's reflected even for like a Christian faith.
Oh, so obviously animation is on point here. This is like the third. This is the third. This is what?
I don't have a chance to talk about the opinions, about my personal opinions yet.
Oh yeah, just okay. Say your opinions.
Okay, so well, I mean, personally, I'm not really that much attached to like the Sleeping Beauty thing for some other reasons. I mean, and yet I was actually surprised when you said that they weren't making a profit as they did in the initial years, because especially how critically acclaimed that it's been argued to be like the biggest masterpiece in Disney history. I mean, just think about it. I mean, with I mean, it's not just like, the background effects that they were choosing. I mean, there was like, the personality animation, the action sequences, the effects, the casting. It was like all the things that they've learned from before when they first started to push the envelope was, putting all together in this one, tapestry that proves that animation can be an art form.
It is an art form. I it kind of feels a little.
And I was also,
because,
I was also surprised about that twist about, the yeah, the more profits that were coming from Disneyland comparison, because yeah, have you even heard about what happened on its opening day?
Oh yeah, I think John Hammond actually said it, but he got the year wrong. He said 1956. It was actually 1955. He was like, when Disneyland opened in 1956. Well, actually, it was 1955. Nothing worked, and then Jeff Goldblum, who's says, but John, the Pirates of the Caribbean ride breaks down. The pirates don't eat the tourists.
I do not remember reading or seeing that in any of the Jurassic Park stories. Yeah, you sure you didn't get this from like a parody or something?
It's actually from the movie.
Oh, yeah, I guess I wasn't focused on much.
I don't know. I mean, it's just yeah. So the opening day of Disneyland didn't really go as planned. There were rides that didn't work, and they kind of had this thing rushed out. They had like they just constructed this thing in a whole year, and when that happens, and when it kind of feels a little rushed or something like that, then you're gonna have some glitches or problems with the ride. I don't know.
I'm metaphorically speaking. Yeah, it looked like a train wreck.
Definitely a train wreck. Well, I mean, scaling back in animation, but still continuing to make them animated films. Not like as ambitious as you thought you would be, but this time they were going gonna go adapt a pre-existing novel for the next one.
What's the next one?
You'll see.
Okay.
I'll give you a hint,
able to-
Julia. It has to do with dogs again.
Dogs again. It's not Lady and the Tramp. What would come next? Is it 101 Dalmatians?
Yeah.
I knew it. Okay, but this Monday I won't be able to be here. We're going on a little honeymoon after our wedding. So on Monday I won't be able to attend. So you guys can enjoy 101 Dalmatians, and I'll have to catch up with you on the next one.
Okay, I'll see you at the wedding, Julia.
See you at the wedding,
Right,
Sarah. Bye, Jordan.
Bye.
Happy
I gotta go get dinner.
I'll be dressed nice. Make sure you don't.
Sounds good. Bye, guys.
Okay, bye.
Mhm.